Welcome to the show. I am James Swanwick. I was on a business class flight between Stockholm, Sweden and New York City on Finnish Air a couple of weeks ago, and I witnessed a drunken argument between a married Finnish couple and the airline steward and stewardess, or stewards and stewardesses. Is that plural? I'm not sure. Stewardess? I'm not sure plural. Anyway, the men and women who were very politely serving us our food and making sure we were safe on this flight. And it was pretty ugly, I have to say, because the Finnish couple were drunk. They drank too much. I'm not sure how much they were drinking before they got on the plane, but they got on the plane and about an hour and a half, 2 hours into it, I heard the stewardess. I'm not sure if that's the right terminology I use to describe. Let me just Google this. I don't want to get this wrong. Stewardess. Is that okay to say stewardess? Airline stewardess? Yeah, that's right. The stewardess. The stewardess politely cut them off from drinking. This couple asked for a glass of wine or something, and the stewardess said, "I'm sorry, but I'm unable to serve you anymore." And well, they didn't like that at all. Now, just to be clear, they were very big people. I'm talking about the couple. The gentleman was about, I would say, he must have been 300 pounds plus, I would say. Big boy. The woman was probably 240 pounds plus as well. So they could probably handle their alcohol pretty well. When you're that big, you can, handle a lot of drinking because you probably, and I realize I'm making an assumption here, and I'm not trying to be judgmental. I'm just trying to accurately describe what I saw, witnessed, and what I experienced. So, my suspicion was that this couple had been drinking before they got on the plane, and then 2 hours into the flight, they'd probably had another 2 or 3 drinks, and then they were being loud and boisterous and being quite rude. Not many people in the business class section actually heard this because most of them had these big headphones on and were watching the TV. But I had my headphones off and was doing some work, and I could hear what was going on. And the woman was sitting directly behind me, and the gentleman was sitting behind her. Okay, so just picture this. We're on the left side of the business class section of this flight, and with the windows are on our left. Directly behind me is the woman, and directly behind her is who I assume is her husband. Anyway, wow! When the stewardess said that she wasn't going to serve them anymore, wow! She got really angry. Now, she didn't leave her chair. She didn't leave her seat. She sat in her seat as the stewardess was kind of standing up over her, just trying to politely explain. But the gentleman, who I'm assuming was the husband, he stood up. Now, he wasn't aggressive in his body language, but he's a big boy, like big boy, 300 and something pounds plus. He was standing there arguing with the stewardess, who was talking to the woman who was sitting down in the chair. And I was listening and kind of peeking over my shoulder, candidly wondering whether I should start recording this or not, whether I should pull out my phone and start doing the video selfie. But I thought better of it. And half of it was in a language I didn't get. I'm assuming it was Finnish. I'm hoping that is how you describe someone from Finland who speaks that language. Is it Finnish language? Realizing Finnish language. And half of it was in English. Why? I don't know. But because assuming if the stewardess spoke Finnish and both of them spoke Finnish, why wouldn't they all just speak in Finnish? I don't know. But half of it I heard in English and half of it I didn't understand at all. But the half that I didn't understand, I could tell by body language and tonality that they weren't happy, and they weren't happy at all. And the couple, from what I did hear them share, which was English, which was, we've paid a lot of money to be on this flight, to be in this section. The alcohol is included. I demand, or we demand, that you serve us alcohol. And the woman held her ground. And then a gentleman, a male steward, then came over and he started talking to them. Now, I couldn't understand at that point because he started speaking Finnish, so I couldn't pick up on it. But later on, after the couple had sat down, probably 10 minutes later, I went to the back, I went to that section of the plane, in the middle of the section where they've got the food and they've got some snacks and there's a toilet there and everything. And I went there and I asked the male steward what had happened. And he explained to me that his colleague had told them they weren't going to serve them anymore because they were drinking too much and that they were, being disruptive, and that they were very unhappy with this and had complained and were arguing and were protesting. And the end story was they didn't serve them any more alcohol. They were banned. They couldn't drink anymore. And they sat down. Now, the gentleman, about 5 or 10 minutes later, I went back to my seat and both the man and the woman were sitting in their chair quietly. And about 5 minutes after I got back in my chair, I heard this. If that sounds awful, it's because it is. This guy was snoring like a freight train. He fell asleep. So he'd put the business class kind of bed. You know how the beds roll out into the chairs change into a flat bed? I got up and I had a look at this guy, and his gut was hanging out. Like his shirt was up above his belly button. His gut was hanging out, and he was just snoring like a freight train. Absolute freight train. It was so loud. And again, most of the other passengers were oblivious to any of this because they had their headphones on and they're watching TV or a movie or whatever. Holy heck. It's already noisy on a plane because of the sound of the engines, obviously. The fact that I could hear him snoring from 2 rows ahead of him is astounding. The woman was sitting there, not doing anything, just sitting upright, not watching TV, but just sitting there, had her eyes open. I'm not sure what she was doing. She must have just been thinking. But this guy was like a freight train, snoring, representing Finland in the World Snoring Championships, he was. Anyway, I share this story not to shame them, because I'm not identifying them. I don't know who they are, who they were, quite frankly. But I just share this as a cautionary tale and to say this: you don't want to be the person arguing for more booze on a flight. You don't want to be the person arguing for more alcohol anywhere. You don't want anyone to have to think that they got to cut you off because you're drinking too much. The moment that someone says to you, I think you've had enough, we've got to cut you off, is the moment I would invite you to say to yourself, I think I got to change my habits. I think I got to do something about my drinking. And again, I'm not saying this to shame or to be accusatory or hostile or combative. I have immense empathy for those folks who really want to cut back on their drinking but just find it so challenging to do so. Maybe it's because you've been using it as a crutch to mask sadness or depression or frustration, and you've been doing it for so long, you've been drinking for so long that it almost becomes a comfort, and that the idea of getting rid of this comfort is the equivalent of breaking up with a lover or a loved one or ending a relationship of some kind. I get it. It feels challenging. It can feel tough because it's an addictive substance. Alcohol is an addictive substance. And you don't want to be the person who people are going, I think you've had a bit too much. Especially if you're in your late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I mean, it's somewhat understandable if you're getting drunk and doing stupid things in your teens, right? Somewhat understandable if you're doing it through your early and mid-20s, maybe even late 20s. it starts to become a thing for you and your loved ones, especially if you've got a wife or a husband or you've got kids, you've got a partner. Man, the older you get, the more you have to lose. If you're listening and you've got a family and you're getting drunk or you're drinking too much or you're doing stupid things or you're saying the wrong thing or you're not being present with your wife or your husband or your partner or your kids, you're not spending as much time or quality time with your kids because you're tired and lethargic from your drinking, you're not showing up in your job, or your business is floundering, or your business is just flat, even though like inflation's crazy at the moment, 10, 11%, maybe even more. If you got a business and you do the same revenue, same profit margins as you did the year before, are you really ahead with inflation going up? Like, if you stay stagnant, you're kind of going backwards, right? Can you really afford that? Because when you're drinking consistently, you don't make as many great choices. You can't think clearly. You're easily distracted. But yet when you get rid of alcohol, because you've got that clarity and focus and energy, you do another deal, you make another call, you create another revenue stream, you get some more clients, you hire the right people, you get a promotion, you're more focused. And if you're in your 40s, 50s, I mean, when you think about it, you may have already been on this earth longer than the time that you got left. I mean, I think about that. I'm 47 years old as I record this. If I double 47, I'm looking at 94. I mean, I'm halfway there. I'm more than halfway there, probably. Now, maybe medicine and science improves at such a rate that we can prolong our life. I mean, there's a fellow called Peter Dimiardis. Is that his name? Peter Dimiardis? Let me get the right pronunciation. Peter Dimiardis. Is that right? Let me just check. Yeah, Peter Diamandis, I'm sorry. He's the CEO of the Zero Gravity Corporation. And he works in the field of innovation, incentive competitions, and commercial space. And he's a 3-time best-selling author. And he's very well, he's a philanthropist as well. Like he's very well-versed in modern medicine and aging and extending life and human longevity. And I had the pleasure of meeting him in person in Los Angeles through a mutual friend of ours, a gentleman by the name of Keith Ferrazzi, who wrote the book Never Eat Alone. And Peter said to me and others at this dinner, he said that if you can live another 10 years, the way that science is going, medical science is going, you should be able to extend your life an additional 30. In other words, as long as you don't die in the next 10 years, you should be able to add an additional 30 years to your life than you would otherwise. So maybe I'm not halfway. Maybe you're not halfway. Maybe you're only still approaching halfway if we can add another 30 years to our life. But here's the thing. What is the quality of your life going to be if you continue to drink this attractively packaged poison? The latest studies that have come out, I referenced this in an earlier podcast episode actually. It was a study that came out in March 2022 called Associations Between Alcohol Consumption and Grey and White Matter Volumes in the UK Biobank. And what it found was that even moderate drinkers, people who were only drinking 1 or 2 drinks a night, there was still evidence that that was causing brain damage of some kind. That's crazy when you think about that. Even for people that were drinking 1 or 2 seemingly innocent drinks a night, barely 14 drinks a week, there was evidence of thinning of the neocortex in the brain. So loss of neurons in the neocortex and other brain regions. So if 1 or 2 drinks a night is causing brain damage, imagine what this Finnish couple's brains are looking like. Knocking back 5 or 6 drinks in a session at least, and doing it at 30,000 feet. Are you crazy? Do you know how bad flying is on the body? I mean, it dehydrates you. At that altitude, you are so dehydrated. And then you want to drink a substance that dehydrates you. I mean, it defies logic, in my opinion. The absolute worst environment that I could possibly think of to drink alcohol would be on a plane at 30,000 feet, when you're already dehydrated, when your body is in a dehydrated state. The absolute best thing you can do on a flight is drink copious amounts of water. In fact, the Bulletproof guy, Dave Asprey, actually said that you should drink soda water on a flight. He actually took he did something where he pricked his finger on various stages of a flight to check I think it was the oxygen levels of his blood. And I'm going to butcher this story, I'm sorry, but the result of it was that the best thing that you can consume at 30,000 feet on a flight is soda water, followed closely behind by water. The absolute worst thing you can do is drink alcohol. And this Finnish couple were drinking copious amounts of alcohol, probably before they got on the plane, and it was ugly. It was an ugly incident. And again, not to cast judgment, my suspicion is that this particular couple don't lead a particularly healthy lifestyle. I mean, they were big people. He was, in my opinion, visibly, grossly overweight, as was she. And in my opinion, what I experienced, they were very rude, condescending, belligerent, and any other adjective I can think of to be hostile to an airline steward or stewardess just doing their job because they've made a judgment call to cut you off from drinking your attractively packaged poison because you're being loud and obnoxious, and then to try to argue your point, to try to make a case for why you should continue to consume this poison, which is obviously turning you into someone that you probably don't want to be. Hi, I'm James Swanwick, and I have a question for you. Are you okay living the rest of your life this way? Drinking the way you're drinking, feeling tired, irritable, dissatisfied, unhappy. Do you know you need to make a change, and now? Yes? Okay, great. Let's explore your traditional recovery options. There's AA, and if you want to drive to regular meetings, throw in $1, listen to dark and depressing stories, and try to relate to other members and be part of the reported just 7% of AA participants who reportedly actually create meaningful change, then yes, do AA. Outpatient and inpatient recovery. If you want to drive to a hospital or recovery center, check yourself in, speak to doctors and therapists, and pay tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, while ensuring you give yourself a less than 10% reported success rate, then yes, do outpatient and inpatient recovery. White knuckling it on your own. Willpower, motivation. Well, you've likely already tried that. Maybe you stopped for a while. Congratulations. But then the slippery slope got you and you found yourself right back where you started, drinking the way you always did, or worse. Here's the bumper sticker. If you could have stopped drinking on your own, you would have. You haven't, so you can't. There is another way, a way that has a 95% success rate of members achieving at least 90 days alcohol-free. Our 90-day and 1-year programs involve a safe, fun, virtual community of high achievers with a process that boasts an incredible 95% success rate of clients reaching at least 90 consecutive days alcohol-free. We use the latest neuroscience and personal development processes to help rewire clients' brains around alcohol and minimize its importance in their lives. We will show you how to powerfully socialize with friends, family, and colleagues, what to say and how to say it so people don't mistakenly think you're an alcoholic or have a problem, and we'll show you how to eliminate the temptation of returning to constant drinking so you can finally break the stop-start cycle. If you're an executive, entrepreneur, or investor who's sick of the stop-start cycle and the damaging effects alcohol has on your health, happiness, and family, and you're ready now to regain confidence, become more present with your spouse and children, reduce stress, anxiety, and irritability, to sleep better, increase focus and productivity, and feel better now, you're invited to apply to be part of our 90-day and 365-day programs. Applicants can apply for an introductory interview by visiting alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90. There's also a link in the show notes. Some tough love for you now before we get back to today's episode. If you have another 2 or 3 years to waste of your life, go ahead and waste them. Don't join our programs, don't change your life, and watch everyone else who does thrive in all areas of their lives. Stay drinking, stay feeling mediocre, and circle back with us in a few years' time. We'll be here for you then, like we have been since 2015. The choice is simple. Do something and quickly thrive, or do nothing and slowly die. We are here for those ready to thrive. Okay, let's get back to today's episode. So I realize as I'm sharing the story that I'm kind of, well, I don't know what you're thinking or how you're experiencing this. Some of you might be listening to this going, I'm being too judgmental. I'm talking about their weight. I'm talking about, maybe I'm casting assertions that aren't true and aren't accurate. And that could be right. I don't know their story. I don't know the full story. I can only share with you what I saw and what I experienced. And in my opinion, in my perception of what I understood to have happened, they were rude, condescending, arrogant, abrupt, disruptive, grossly overweight, unhealthy, unpleasant, just an ugly, ugly scene. And I just want to stress, you don't want to be those people. You don't want to be the person who everyone's looking at going, oh dear, he's had too much to drink. Oh dear, she's had too much to drink. You don't want to be the person at the business networking event where people are like, looking at each other going, maybe we should cut him off. Maybe we should cut her off. Cautionary tale. This is a cautionary tale. To turn this into a more inspiring episode, let me say this. You can stop drinking with coaching and support and community and doing it in a group of like-minded people. I implore you, stop trying to stop drinking on your own using willpower and white-knuckling it, and this time I'm going to do it. I'm really, really focused. I'm really, really motivated this time. This time I'm going to do it. I'm rooting for you to get the result, but statistically speaking, the chances of long-term success, of you getting long-term power over your drinking habits, I would put it less than 10% if you trying to do this on your own. If drinking has been a habit for you over many, many years, maybe you've tried to stop and start, unless you can fundamentally rewire your brain about alcohol, and unless you can consistently get to at least 90 days alcohol-free, so you can really experience the benefits and effects of that, I think you're going to find it very, very challenging to get control of your drinking habits. I hope you can do it on your own, but why would you? That's the thing. If you could have stopped drinking on your own by now, you would have. You haven't, so it's possible that you can't. So I certainly invite you to try another way. We have 90-day programs. We have a 365-day, at least 1 year program here. You've heard me talk about Project 90. You've probably listened to some episodes. This very episode, there probably was a commercial that was running where you heard either my voice or Victoria's voice talking about our programs and inviting you to book a call. Maybe we go on about this, maybe we go on about it too much. I don't know. But I can tell you this, 90% plus of people who go through our 90-day or 365-day programs get profound results. And it's because they get the 5 pillars. And the 5 pillars are coaching, accountability, community, fun, and having skin in the game. Coaching, community, accountability, fun, skin in the game. Try to do it on your own, challenging. Like I said, I'm rooting for you, but challenging. I give you a 10% chance of success. Do it with coaching, community, accountability, fun, and having skin in the game, 90% chance of success. If you're betting on a horse, if you're betting on a horse race, what gives you the best chance of winning? Is it the 90% chance of winning horse, or is it the 10% chance of winning horse? You go with the 90% every time, right? So, yeah, just to repeat that, you don't want to be the person who people are trying to cut off. Don't be that person. And if you are that person, if you identify as one of the Finnish couple, or you've had your own version of being obnoxious, or you said the wrong thing and you're embarrassed by that, and you really, really, really want to change now, you can do it. You really, really can. I believe in you. As long as you do it in a structured way that follows a process. I've had a life with alcohol, a life without. I can tell you a life without is way better. People always worry that like they're going to be boring or dull and that life's going to end for them when they have the poison cut off. No one would ever accuse me of being dull. I mean, I have a fun, adventurous life. I travel a lot. I like to stay fit and healthy. I've got great friendships. I got problems like everyone else. Rarely, but candidly, sometimes I go through months where I feel a little down, bit sad. I wouldn't say depressed, but I go through little bits of sadness. Call it a midlife crisis type of feeling, if you like. I'm a man in his mid-40s, having an existential dilemma sometimes, where I question what is the meaning of life and what's my purpose and why am I here, and I question some of the choices that I've made, and I think what's next. And I'm not waking up every morning skipping down the road singing zippity doo dah, zippity day, my oh my, what a wonderful day. Sometimes I do. But I can tell you this, life is so much more fun and so much more enjoyable and so much more energetic being alcohol-free consistently than being the Finnish couple on the flight. And even being the 1 or 2 drinks a night person who's damaging their brain, who's knowingly damaging your brain. Because once you know that 1 or 2 drinks a night messes with your brain function, you can't unknow it. So then it becomes a choice. You have to choose to drink this 1 or 2 drinks a night. And if you have children, you're choosing not to be the best version of yourself for them. If you have a business, you're choosing not to show up in the business to the best of your capabilities. You're choosing to drink 1 or 2 drinks a night, knowing that it messes with the neurons in your neurocortex in your brain, that it increases your likelihood of Alzheimer's and dementia in later life and cancer and obesity, that it increases your chances of disruptive sleep, which increases your chances of irritation and fogginess and distraction the following day, which increases your chances of a strained relationship, which increases your chances of divorce, which increases your chances of financial loss, which increases your chances of feelings of helplessness, which increases your chances of having a mediocre experience of life. Hopefully this is a cautionary tale. Not sure if this is tough love or whether this is inspirational. Some of you might be listening going, oh, God, this is depressing. Some of you might be going, thanks, James, this is the kick up backside I needed. Whatever it is, if you'd like some support, if you'd like to follow our process, then I certainly invite you to have a chat with one of our coaches. We help executives, entrepreneurs, high achievers, leaders to stop drinking inside of our 90-day and 365-day programs. If you want to have a chat with one of our coaches, 15-minute exploratory call only, nothing to buy. We're not going to try to sell you on anything, but if you just want to have that exploratory conversation, the way to do that is to go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90, click on the link that says book a call, fill out a few details. We'll call you, have a chat, see if or how we can support you. If we feel we can, and if you feel that you want us to support you, then we'll have you speak to one of our enrollment coaches. We'll have a lengthier conversation just to ensure that you're a fit, walk you through the details. And if you're accepted, we'll invite you into either our 90 or 365-day program, and we will help transform your life for the better. 100%. Absolutely. We've been doing it since 2015. In my opinion, we're the best in the world at it. I can say that with conviction because statistics don't lie. Also, to that end, by the way, in 2023, we're running an official study. The University of Washington, the University of Florida are actually studying our 90 and 365-day programs. They're doing a proper study, which hopefully will ultimately get published in maybe Psychology Today, maybe the Harvard Business Review. So yeah, we have formal universities working with us. They're now doing the preparation of the study now because they have seen the results that we've been generating, and now they want to prove the results that we've been generating, which is really, really exciting. If you'd like to be part of that process, we start in 2022, but I would also say to you, 2023, but I would say, if you've been thinking about this for a while, stop procrastinating and take some action. Have an exploratory call with one of our coaches, see what it's all about. If it's not for you, we will very supportively give you some free resources for you to go and do on your own. Good luck. I hope that you kick ass and you get the results. In my experience, you'll have a 10% shot at it. I hope you're part of the 10%. If you want a 90% shot at it, apply to be part of our program, and if accepted, we'll throw all of our support behind you. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you on the next one. Hi there, this is James Swanwick. Thank you so much for listening to the show. I would be so grateful if you would leave a review. That will help us climb the rankings and get our show exposed to so many more people who could really benefit from the content. You can do that by going into Apple Podcasts, rating the show, writing a little one-sentence summary, and posting it. That would be so amazing. Thank you. Likewise, if you would like to schedule a 15-minute exploratory call and apply for our Project 90 program, then you can do so by going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90. If you'd like to get the free guide, that is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide, you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Our YouTube channel is at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at James Swanwick. Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one.